I started riding mountain bikes just over a year ago, and in that time I've done things I never thought I'd be able to do on a bike. From building it by scratch in my dorm room, to riding some of the craziest trails in Colorado, here are some of the things I learned as a beginner mountain bike rider. First, don't be afraid to work on your own bike. I was definitely apprehensive at first, but I wanted to get into biking for as cheap as I possibly could, and that meant scrounging around marketplaces to find the cheapest parts available, and those usually don't come as a full build bike. So I had to build my bike by myself in my dorm. You can work on pretty much everything on bikes with average hand tools, but for the tools that are specialty, you can easily make them yourself or find an alternative that's cheap. For example, I needed a bottom bracket tool to install my bottom bracket and install my center lock rotors. I was able to 3D print one that lasted me for well over a year before it broke and I had to get another one. I also needed a crown race tool to install the crown race onto my fork. So I bought a PVC pipe and an end cap and used that to install my crown race. Really, the only limit to the amount of tools that you have is how creative you can get. On that note, you don't need the nicest bike or the nicest gear to start riding. I built this bike starting off with a single speed and a frame that I bought on Facebook Marketplace for $150. I also used a helmet that I got in a raffle, and I just wore shorts and a t-shirt and didn't have any special pads or gloves or special shoes. Really, mountain biking, you can get in as cheap as a bike and a helmet, of course. Really, all you need to do is get out there and maintain the stuff that you have. Second, riding new things is absolutely terrifying. Before I started riding mountain bike trails, I had only ever ridden on paved trails or lightly graveled trails. I didn't have any experience on a single track, so some of the green trails in my area were terrifying for me. That being said, the only way that you're gonna be able to get out and ride trails is to get out and ride trails. Find a trail or a system of trails that is around the level that you're out and get out there and explore. This is especially true with progressive riding. Progressive riding means that you find trails that are progressively harder so that you can work your way up to the more difficult features. This means that you won't be as intimidated coming to those intimidating features because you've seen them before on a smaller scale. I have spent so much time staring at intimidating features just to psych myself out and not ride them in the end. I found that just sending it over works the best for me, especially if I'm following somebody. Following somebody boosts your confidence so much. Even if they're at a similar level to you, just having that support person there makes riding features so much easier. So I would highly recommend asking a stranger if they're willing to let you follow them, or if you have a buddy, to follow your buddy down a trail. That'll help you learn the features, learn lines, that kind of stuff that you wouldn't have been able to do before without that person that you're following. I didn't know how to jump this jump until I had followed somebody through the jump. Third, trail ratings can be completely bogus. I've ridden on blue trails that feel more like blacks and blacks that feel more like blues. So don't put all of your trust in that little rating that you find. It's definitely there to help you determine whether or not you feel comfortable riding it for the first time, but the only way to gauge its difficulty from your perspective is to ride it personally. If a trail's too difficult for you personally, you can build up to it. If it's too easy, you know that you can use that as a basis to go to the next trail. One of the first times I had ever ridden a black trail, I was amazed at how easy the trail felt. And then I went to a bike park and rode a black jump trail and was immediately humbled. I cased every single jump. That being said, it's okay to ride those trails that are too easy, and it's okay to ride those trails that are too hard. You gain valuable skills from both levels of trails. Number 4, body positioning and bike setup matter so much. I initially threw my bike together with no regard to how anything was set up and rode it just like that. I was fine, but my form was really poor and I ended up looking like a grouch slouched over my bars. This led to me riding so much slower and less confident than I would have been able to. I highly recommend spending an afternoon in a local bike park or near a local bike shop or a local trail system like the one I'm at right now to dial in the setup of your bike. Bring a multi-tool, shock pump if you have one, and set your bike up to what feels right for you. Things on paper don't matter as much as how it feels to you personally. There's plenty of YouTube tutorials out there on how to set up a bike properly, but like I said, you won't know exactly what works for you until you get out on a trail and feel how your bike feels underneath you. Lastly, have fun. Riding is supposed to get you outside in fresh air to socialize, have fun, and just, like I said, get outside and exercise. Don't get too caught up in the ego battle of, oh, I rode over the gnarliest terrain and I jumped the biggest gap. Just go out there, have fun, and ride trails. I didn't realize this until after I joined a competitive cycling team. It was like competing was a secondary objective, and they were just there to have fun and ride trails together. And as a result, they rode better and faster because they were more comfortable. I hope you enjoyed my 5 tips for beginners from a beginner. This is not only a great way for me to get some information to you, but also reflect on how far I have come personally as a rider. Thank you for watching. If you wouldn't mind hitting like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Thank you very much, and happy riding.